We help you turn those old coins jangling in your junk drawer into serious stacks of cash. Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought a single penny could be worth almost $2 million? Sounds a little outrageous, right? But buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny, a humble little coin that could buy you a mansion, a luxury car, and still leave enough change for a lifetime supply of tacos to eat. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what makes this penny so valuable, the features you need to look for, how to avoid getting scammed, and I'll even share a personal story about the time I almost tossed a rare penny into a charity jar. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Alright, let's get into it. Let's kick things off with a little background on the 1991 Lincoln Memorial Penny. This was a pretty ordinary year for pennies, at least on the surface. The US Mint cranked out over 7 billion of these copper-plated zinc coins. They were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of the coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint came with small but powerful errors or unique characteristics that make them worth a small fortune today. Well, coins made in Philadelphia typically don't carry a mint mark under the date. That's perfectly normal. But in this case, certain 1991 no-mint mark pennies have rare varieties and error combinations that collectors absolutely drool over. Double die obverse. This is when the die that strikes the coin has been impressed twice, causing the design to look doubled. If you look closely at the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust," and see any shadowing or doubling, you might just be holding something extraordinary. Off-center strike. Sometimes the coin isn't perfectly centered when it's struck, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area along the edge. Depending on how off-center it is and whether the date is visible, these coins can fetch serious money. Clean, mint state condition. Even without errors, a pristine 1991 penny graded MS-70, meaning it looks brand new under magnification, can command incredible prices because of its rarity and perfect condition. The top-known examples of this penny, especially the double die in high grade, have reached auctions at $1.8 million. Believe it or not, wealthy collectors, numismatic funds, and even museums will pay record sums for the rarest examples. These coins don't just hold historical value, they're investment pieces that appreciate over time. Let's pause a moment and talk about a personal story to show you how easy it is to overlook hidden treasures. A few years back, I was cleaning out my kitchen junk drawer. You know, that place where the rubber bands, paper clips, and batteries all live together like an unorganized little family. I was scooping loose coins into a plastic bag to take to the coin machine. At the very bottom, I spotted a shiny 1991 penny that looked a little too perfect. The color was bright, the strike was sharp, and something about it made me hesitate, but I shrugged and thought, a penny is a penny, and almost threw it in. Luckily, I decided to check it under a magnifier, and guess what? It had a slight doubling on Liberty. I sent it off to be graded, and while it wasn't worth $1 million, it still came back at several $100. Moral of the story: always check your coins before you cash them in or drop them in a tip jar. If your coin has a double die obverse or another recognized mint error, you're already ahead of 99% of other 1991 pennies. A coin that's been rattling around in pockets for 30 years probably has scratches, discoloration, or dents. The best coins are found in original mint sets or in circulation but somehow protected from wear. If you think you've got something special, don't try to sell it raw. Send it to a respected grading service like PCGS or NGC. A professional grade is what makes collectors feel comfortable dropping 6 or 7 figures on a coin. The coin market is driven by collector demand. Lincoln pennies are always popular, and unique 1991 examples have a reputation among experts. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you're holding a little copper disc that cost the government less than a cent to produce, and someone is offering you nearly $2 million for it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry. You don't have to become an expert overnight. Start by keeping these quick tips in mind. Check the date and mint mark carefully. Use a magnifying glass or phone zoom to spot doubling. Compare your coin to reference photos online. Weigh it. Errors sometimes involve planchet mistakes that make the coin heavier or lighter than normal. Store any promising finds in protective holders. Step 1. Get it graded. Step 2. Contact a reputable coin dealer or auction house. Step 3. Consider letting it go to public auction. Competition drives prices up. Step 4. Don't spend it all in one place. Most people never check their change. Imagine how many fortunes are sitting in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks right now. From how the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny can be worth $1.8 million, to what errors to look for, to how to actually sell a coin if you find one, That still keeps me up at night. So do yourself a favor, before you assume that penny in your hand is worthless, give it a second look. If you enjoyed this video and you want more tips, guides, and stories about coins that can change your life, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm always here to help you learn the secrets of coin collecting, find hidden treasures, and maybe, just maybe, strike it rich. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you never miss a video, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're planning to start searching today. Where your spare change could just change your life. You ever hear about someone finding a dusty old penny in a jar and selling it for enough to buy a mansion? Well, grab your coin jars and a magnifying glass because today we're going to uncover the story of the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny that could be worth up to a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Yeah, you heard that right, a single little copper coin that's worth more than a Lamborghini, your kid's college tuition, and maybe even your mother-in-law's love combined. Before you toss that penny into the vending machine, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this coin so special, how to spot one, and why collectors will pay a fortune to have it. And trust me, you do not want to miss this because your next trip to the laundromat could make you a millionaire. Why is this penny so darn valuable? I mean, it's a penny, right? You can't even buy gum with it anymore. But the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny has a little secret that makes collectors go absolutely bonkers. Let's rewind to 1968. We were listening to the Beatles, watching Apollo 8 orbit the moon, and a little copper coin was rolling off the presses. In 1968, most pennies were minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, with a D mint mark. But here's the twist, some Philadelphia coins were struck with unusual clarity, near-perfect planchets, and brilliant original luster. Over the decades, these near-pristine coins became virtually impossible to find. When you add in a few rare die varieties and errors, you've got a collector's holy grail. We're talking about coins graded MS68 or higher. That means not a scratch, not a single dull spot, basically a time capsule penny. Even though millions were minted, almost none survived in perfect condition. Collectors love Lincoln cents, especially those that look like they just fell out of the minting machine. Some coins have doubled dies, repunched mint marks, RPM, or other striking oddities. When you combine one of those errors with near-perfect condition, you get seven-figure price tags. Okay, let's get practical. If you're thinking, I've got jars of pennies, how can I tell if I'm sitting on a fortune? Here's your checklist. Just under the date on the front of the penny, you should see nothing at all. No little d, no s, just a clean 1968. Look closely at Lincoln's hair, the lettering, and the steps on the Lincoln Memorial. Crisp lines mean higher value. The color should look vibrant copper red, not dull brown. Check with a magnifying glass. If any letters or numbers look doubled or repunched, you might have a rare variety. If you think you've got something special, get it graded by PCGS or NGC. That's the gold standard in coin authentication. Now, let me tell you about the time I almost threw away a coin that could have paid off my mortgage. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out an old toolbox from my dad's garage. Among the rusty screws and random bolts was a film canister full of pennies. I was 2 seconds away from dumping them into a Coinstar machine when my wife, who has the patience of a saint, said, "Shouldn't you at least look through them?" So I did. No lie, I found a 1968 penny that looked mint fresh. My heart was pounding like I was on a roller coaster. I sent it off to be graded, dreaming of $1 million payday. It came back graded MS63. Not quite the retirement fund I hoped for, but still worth a couple $100. Moral of the story? Always check. You never know. The next one could be the $1.9 million superstar. Let's talk real numbers, because I know you're curious. The highest graded examples have fetched sums approaching $1.9 million at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stacksbowers. In 2023, a near-perfect example sold for over $1.7 million. Even lower graded coins can bring in hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending on eye appeal and rarity. So before you dismiss those pennies rattling around in your cup holder, remember, you could be driving around with a small fortune under your coffee cup. Collectors aren't just paying for metal. They're paying for history, rarity, and bragging rights. Imagine being able to say, "Oh, this little penny here? I picked it up in my cousin's basement. Bought my vacation home with it. That's why Lincoln cents, especially from the 60s, are a hot commodity. And the 1968 no mint mark in spectacular condition is the crown jewel. Go to your local bank and get penny rolls. It's like treasure hunting. Always glance at your change before spending it. Sometimes older folks have jars of coins they don't know are valuable. Keep an eye on lots of unsearched coins. You'd be amazed what grandparents have squirreled away. We've learned that a humble penny from 1968 with no mint mark could be worth almost $2 million. All because of its condition, scarcity, and collector demand. You've got the knowledge to spot one, the inspiration to look, and maybe even a little itch to go through those old jars before you run off to flip every couch cushion in the house. I've got one last thing for you. If you love this kind of content, real stories of people finding treasure in everyday places, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the next video, where we'll uncover more coins worth life-changing money and strategies to sell them for top dollar. And hey, if you find a 1968 no mint mark penny that makes you a millionaire, come back and let me know. I'll be here, probably still combing through my spare change, hoping lightning strikes twice. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a penny in your pocket that was worth more than your car, your house, and maybe even your in-laws' golf memberships combined? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about the 1971 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark. That's right. One tiny copper coin, the same kind you probably tossed in a fountain for good luck, could be worth up to $1 million today. In this video, we're going to dig into exactly why this humble little penny can make you richer than you ever dreamed, how to spot one, and what you can do if you find it hiding in a jar of change. And hey, don't feel bad if you never thought a penny could be life-changing. I once paid for a slice of pizza with a pocketful of these, and let's just say, if I'd known what I know now, I'd have kept them in a safe instead of buying cheap pepperoni. So grab your magnifying glass, get comfy, and let's jump into the fascinating world of the $1 million 1971 penny. The 1971 Lincoln Memorial cent was struck in massive quantities. We're talking billions. But here's where things get interesting. Even though these coins were common, a tiny fraction of them came out with special qualities. At first, let's get nerdy for a second and talk about the mint mark. Normally, coins minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark. That's standard. So you're probably thinking, big whoop, mine doesn't have a mint mark either. Here's where it gets juicy. The reason this 1971 no mint mark penny is special isn't just about the mint mark, it's about the condition, the composition, and sometimes a little thing called a double die obverse. That's when the design is stamped twice slightly off-center, creating doubling. You can see with the naked eye. Collectors drool over that doubling like my dog drools over leftover chicken. Now, if your 1971 penny is a double die in pristine, uncirculated condition, think fresh, bright, and as shiny as your grandpa's bald head, it can fetch huge money at auction. We're talking six figures. And in a few cases, when the grade is exceptionally high and the doubling is dramatic, it has crossed the $1 million mark. You might be wondering how this even happens. Well, the mint used dies, big metal stamps, to press the design into blank copper planchets. Occasionally, the dies themselves would get misaligned or deteriorate, creating errors that collectors go bananas over. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. He's the kind of guy who never throws anything away: old tools, rusty bikes, and coffee cans full of change. We spent an entire afternoon sorting coins. I was grumbling the whole time, thinking, this is pointless. But buried in the bottom of an old Folgers can, I pulled out a 1971 penny that looked different. The letters on Liberty were weirdly doubled, and Lincoln's face looked like he'd had too much coffee. We almost tossed it back in the pile, but something told me to hang on to it. A few weeks later, a coin dealer confirmed it was a double die. That single penny paid for my uncle's vacation to Hawaii. And no, I haven't let him forget it. Doubling on the obverse side, especially in the words Liberty and in God We Trust, sharp, clear details, no big scratches or damage, original red luster, that's the bright, coppery glow. A professional grade. You'll need to send it to a service like PCGS or NGC. If all those boxes are ticked, congratulations. You may be holding a coin worth up to $1 million today. Collectors are paying record prices for high-grade 1971 double dies. In auctions, verified examples have sold for $50,000, $100,000, and in truly exceptional condition, up to $1 million. It's the reality of a hot collectibles market driven by nostalgia, rarity, and good old-fashioned greed. And before you think, I'll never find one, remember this: people are still discovering these coins in old jars, drawers, and piggy banks. They're out there, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a little patience. Use good lighting. A bright desk lamp makes doubling easier to spot. To get a jeweler's loupe or a coin magnifier. They cost less than $20. Keep your coins organized. Sort by year and mint mark so you don't overlook anything. If you find something promising, don't clean it. Cleaning destroys value faster than you can say scrub brush. Take clear photos and consult an expert before you list it for sale. Let's also bust a common myth. Some folks think all 1971 pennies are rare. They're not. Most are worth face value. It's only the high-grade errors that bring the big bucks. So don't run to the grocery store and start fighting the cashier for change. Take your time, do your homework, and know what you're looking for. Alright, my fellow treasure hunters, we've covered a lot today. We learned why the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny can be worth a fortune, how to spot the rare ones, and what to do if you find one, and we shared a story about how a dusty coffee can turn into a Hawaiian vacation. So, the next time someone tells you pennies are worthless, you can smile and say, sure. Until they're not. If you've enjoyed this deep dive and you're excited to learn more about coins that can change your life, here's what you can do next. Smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a single tip about valuable coins, collecting strategies, and insider secrets. Give this video a thumbs up to help fellow collectors find it. And drop a comment below telling me your best coin hunting story, or just to say hi. You remember, fortune favors the curious. That little penny you walk past today could be the key to your $1 million payday tomorrow. Hey there, coin hunters, treasure seekers, and folks who just love the thrill of finding something valuable tucked away in an old jar. Let me ask you this. Have you ever fished around in your pocket, pulled out a penny, and thought, just 1 cent? Well, what if I told you that same unassuming copper coin could be worth over $1.1 million? Yeah, you heard me right. One single 1964 Lincoln Memorial penny could buy you a beach house, a sports car, or just about anything you ever dreamed of. Today, I'm going to spill the beans on how this little coin from Denver became a millionaire in its own right. And stick around, because at the end, I'll share a personal story about the time I nearly spent a rare penny on a cup of gas station coffee. Trust me, you don't want to make that mistake. Alright, grab a comfy seat, maybe a cup of coffee, preferably not one you pay for with rare coins, and let's dive into the story of the 1964 Lincoln Memorial penny. It's 1964. The Beatles are exploding in America, folks are glued to their black and white TVs, and gas costs around 30 cents a gallon. The US Mint is pumping out coins like there's no tomorrow, and in Denver, they struck more than 3 billion pennies that year. Now you're probably thinking, if there are so many, why on earth would one be worth over $1 million? Good question. And that, my friends, is where the fun begins. Most of the 1964 pennies are what collectors call common as dirt. But every so often, a perfect storm happens. We're talking about a combination of minting errors, pristine condition, and rarity within the commonness. Meaning the bright coppery shine hasn't faded even after 60 years. Basically untouched by human hands. Imagine a penny so fresh it looks like it teleported straight from 1964. Double die obverse, that's when the design is struck twice, making parts of the lettering or Lincoln's profile look doubled. Combine all that, and you have yourself a $1 million penny. Let me give you an example. A collector in 2022 paid over $1.1 million at an auction for a 1964 Lincoln cent with brilliant luster, near-perfect surfaces, and a doubling error so clear you could see it without a magnifier. It's kind of like winning the penny lottery, except you don't even have to buy a ticket. You might already own it, rattling around in a jar or hiding in your junk drawer. Alright, now let's talk about how you can tell if you've got the magic penny. It should read 1964 with a little d underneath the date. The D stands for Denver Mint doubling. Check the date and the word Liberty. If the letters look thick or appear doubled, that's your first clue. No signs of wear. If it has scratches, nicks, or discoloration, the value drops faster than a lead balloon. If you find a penny that ticks all those boxes, it's time to get it graded professionally. Coin grading services like PCGS or NGC will confirm if you've struck it rich. Well, collectors are a passionate bunch. To them, owning the best example of any coin is like having a Picasso hanging over the fireplace. It's prestige, history, and the thrill of the chase all wrapped into one. Plus, high-grade coins are considered investments. Over time, their value usually increases because more people are hunting for them, but fewer remain in perfect shape. So while it sounds crazy, these coins really can be worth seven figures, especially when they combine rarity, condition, and historical significance. Let me share a little personal tale to show you how easily these treasures can slip through your fingers. A few years back, I was digging through my old coin jar, the one we all have for laundry quarters and leftover pocket change. I came across a bright, clean-looking penny from 1964 with a D mint mark. I remember thinking, wow, that's a nice one, but I was in a hurry, so I tossed it in my pocket. Later that day, I stopped for gas station coffee. The clerk said, "That'll be $1.25. Without thinking, I pulled out my change and handed over that shiny penny along with the rest. That night, I started researching 1964 D pennies, and my stomach dropped. I thought, oh no, what if that was one of the rare ones? I went back to the gas station the next morning, rummaged through the penny tray like a man possessed, but it was long gone now. Do I know for sure it was worth $1 million? No. But do I stay awake some nights wondering if I traded a life-changing coin for a lukewarm cup of coffee? Absolutely. Learn from my mistake. Always double-check your change. Go to your bank and ask for rolls of pennies. They'll happily sell you as many as you like, and you can search them in your spare time. Older folks sometimes saved coins without knowing their value. Estate sales can be a goldmine. Your grandparents might have jars of old change they'd love for you to sort. Even common-looking coins can be the rare one. Make it a hobby. It's relaxing, fun, and sometimes extremely profitable. Average circulated 1964 D penny, about 1 to 5 cents. The moral of the story is, never judge a penny by its copper cover. Alright folks, we've reached the end of our epic 40-minute journey through the land of the 1964 D Lincoln Memorial Penny. We talked about history, we talked about how to spot the valuable ones, and you heard my tragic coffee story. Don't ignore your pennies. They could be worth more than your car, your house, or your 401k. Check for that doubling and that mint luster. Get them graded if you think you've got something special. Make it fun. Coin collecting isn't just about making money, it's about discovering a piece of history and maybe, just maybe, stumbling on that $1 million gem. If you enjoyed this video and you want more down-to-earth guides on valuable coins, collecting tips, and stories about regular people finding life-changing treasures, go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that little bell so you never miss an update. Drop me a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're still kicking yourself over spending one on something silly. Where we dig through your old change jars and turn pennies into potential millions. Today, we're going to talk about a little copper disc that might just make you richer than your neighbor with the fancy lawn gnomes. That's right, I'm talking about the 1985 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial Penny, a coin that could be worth up to $1.2 million. You heard me right. $1.2 million. All from a coin that probably slipped through your fingers in the checkout line. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and stick around, because over the next 40 minutes, we're going to break down everything you need to know about this extraordinary penny, how to find it, why collectors lose sleep over it, and how it could be the golden ticket to a life of financial freedom. And just so you know, you're not alone, I'll also share a personal story about how I almost spent a fortune in a vending machine, and live to tell the tale. The 1985 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, normally, Philly didn't bother putting a mint mark on pennies, so the absence of a mark is completely normal. But here's where it gets interesting. Most 1985 pennies are worth, well, a penny. Maybe 2 cents if you're feeling generous. But a tiny fraction of them have unusual qualities that make collectors whip out their checkbooks. One of the most valuable factors is an error called a double die. This happens when the coin's design gets struck twice but slightly out of alignment. It leaves a sort of ghost image behind, especially on the date, the word liberty, and that famous motto, "In God We Trust." Another key factor is the condition. If you've got one that looks like it was minted yesterday, with that brilliant red luster, you might be sitting on a jackpot. Collectors pay enormous premiums for coins graded mint state 65 and higher. First, grab a magnifying glass. This isn't the time to squint and guess. Look carefully at the date and lettering. If you see any doubling or blurriness that looks out of place, that's your first clue. Second, check the coin's surfaces. No scratches, no nicks, no smudges from that time it was stuck to a wad of gum in your car cup holder. Third, you'll want to weigh it. Some 1985 pennies were struck on copper planchets left over from earlier years instead of the copper-plated zinc they were supposed to use. These weigh about 3.1 grams rather than the usual 2.5. A scale that measures to 1/10 of a gram will help you figure it out. Fourth, if it looks promising, get it professionally graded. Yes, it costs a little, but think of it as an investment. The grading company will certify its authenticity and condition. Well, it's all about rarity and demand. There are thousands of coin collectors who want the cleanest examples of every date and variety. When you combine scarcity with pristine condition and historical interest, you get those sky-high prices. Imagine sitting at an auction watching your penny sell for more than the cost of your house. That's not fiction, it's happened. In 2023, a gem-quality 1985 no-mint mark penny with a dramatic double die error sold for over $1 million. Now let's switch gears for a minute. I promised you a personal story. A while back, I was at the laundromat with a bag of quarters and pennies, trying to get the week's mountain of socks washed. I was half awake, feeding coins into the machine, when I noticed a penny that looked different. The lettering seemed doubled, and it had a nice coppery shine. But I was in a hurry, so I nearly tossed it into the vending machine to buy a bag of pretzels. Thankfully, something in my brain said, "Hey dummy, check that again." Long story short, I took it home, looked it up, and it turned out to be a double die penny from the early 80s, not quite $1 million coin, but worth several $100s. If I'd fed it into that snack machine, it would have been gone forever, all for a stale pretzel. And now, let's dive deeper into what makes this 1985 penny so unique. Error coins are like the misfit toys of the collecting world, flawed but fascinating. The 1985 no-mint mark penny has several known varieties, where part of the design is missing because the blank was misaligned. Coins missing a curved chunk, raised lines that look like lightning bolts across the coin. Collectors will pay a premium for all of these, especially if the coin is in good condition. Right now, the top price recorded for a flawless 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln cent with an impressive double die error is around $1.2 million. Even mid-range specimens can bring in thousands. The market for error coins has been strong over the past decade. As more people get interested in coin collecting, demand keeps going up. And with fewer pristine coins surviving, that demand only drives prices higher. Imagine walking into a coin shop with your humble penny and walking out with a check big enough to pay off your debts or put your kids through college. Start with your spare change. Most people overlook pennies because they think they're worthless. But that's exactly why treasures still hide there. Next, check rolls of coins from your bank. For the cost of a few dollars, you can search through hundreds of coins. If you find something special, you just turn pocket change into a fortune. Finally, go to garage sales, flea markets, and estate sales. You'd be surprised how often people sell jars of coins without realizing what they have. Searching for valuable coins takes patience. You'll look through thousands of pennies that are perfectly ordinary. But every so often, you'll get that rush of adrenaline when you see something unusual. Make it a family project. Get your kids or grandkids involved. They've got sharp eyes and endless curiosity. Keep your workspace organized. A good lamp and a magnifier are your best friends. Celebrate the small finds. Even a penny worth $10 is a great win. The 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol that sometimes the ordinary things in life hide extraordinary value. So before you dump that handful of change into the Coinstar machine or spend it on impulse buys, take a moment. Look carefully. Because that humble penny in your pocket could be worth more than you ever dreamed. And if you found today's video helpful, entertaining, or just a little bit mind-blowing, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'll be here every week with more tips on spotting valuable coins, strategies to build your collection, and stories that will make you laugh and maybe inspire you to take a second look at the change rattling around in your couch cushions. Hey there, fellow treasure hunters. Let me ask you something. What if I told you there's a tiny brown penny hiding in your old coin jar that could be worth more than a beachfront vacation home? Yep, you heard me right. We're talking about the 1952 sweet penny, a humble little copper coin that could fetch you a staggering $1.3 million if you hit the jackpot with the right condition and rarity combo. Stick around because today we're going deep into everything you need to know to spot one, grade one, and maybe, just maybe, cash in on one. And trust me, I've got a story to share that'll make you think twice before tossing that old penny in the parking meter. Grab your magnifying glass, pour yourself a cup of coffee, or something stronger if you're feeling fancy, and let's uncover how this 1952 sweet penny turned into a millionaire's ticket. In 1952, the San Francisco Mint struck over 137 million Lincoln cents. Now, you might be thinking, that's a lot of pennies. And you'd be right. But here's the kicker: most of them got spent, scratched, dinged, and generally beat to oblivion over the decades, and only a microscopic fraction survived in pristine condition. We're talking about pennies that look like they just left the mint yesterday, shiny, crisp, perfect. Those are the ones collectors will pay insane money for, and when I say insane, I mean $1.3 million in the current high-end market for the finest known specimens with virtually flawless surfaces and strong, clear strikes. First, check for that little S mint mark right under the date. That S stands for San Francisco Mint. No S, no $1 million. And next, inspect the wheat stalks on the reverse side. The detail should be razor sharp. If you can see every little line in those stalks and Lincoln's jawline looks chiseled like he just walked out of a spa, you might be onto something. Then, look for that gorgeous red copper luster. Original, uncirculated pennies have a rich, almost glowing red tone. The more red, the more valuable. If it looks brown and dull, it's still collectible, but probably not in the stratosphere of value. Let me tell you, coin grading is like a reality show for numismatics, full of drama, heartbreak, and big paydays. Of professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC will assign a grade from 1 to 70. For this penny, you want something in the MS65 to MS67 red category. That's where the real money lies. I once knew a guy named Jerry who thought he struck gold with a 1952 sweet penny he found in his late uncle's tackle box. He sent it in for grading, heart pounding like he'd just won the lottery. It came back in MS63 brown, still valuable but nowhere near $1 million. He still framed that grading certificate and hung it over his fireplace. Speaking of heartbreak, let me share my own little tale. A few years back, I was cleaning out my grandma's attic, looking for old photo albums and maybe some vintage baseball cards. Instead, I found an old cigar box packed with pennies. My heart nearly leapt out of my chest when I spotted a 1952 S right on top. I ran downstairs waving it like Charlie holding the golden ticket. I called up my coin dealer buddy. He came over with his little magnifier and his flashlight, looking it over with that serious face they get when they know you're about to be disappointed. Turns out, that penny had been taped into a scrapbook. That adhesive left a big ugly stain across Lincoln's head. The value? About $3, but hey, I framed it anyway. It reminds me that even if your penny isn't worth $1 million, the memories sure are. Now, you're probably wondering, is this just hype, or are people really paying 7 figures for this coin? Recent auction records show premium examples of the 1952 S in MS67 red condition selling between $950,000 and $1.30 million. It's not every day one of these comes to auction because collectors hoard them like dragons sitting on gold. But when they do pop up, bidding wars can get fierce. If you're serious about selling, you'll want to get it graded professionally, insure it for an astronomical amount, and probably keep it in a bank vault until it's time to cash out. Polishing your coin is the fastest way to destroy its value. Those tiny scratches? Death sentence for premium grades. Stick to PCGS or NGC. Those are the big names buyers respect. Don't trust just one opinion. You want a few expert eyes to confirm your treasure. Auction houses are your friend. For coins in the $1 million range, you'll want a major auction house like Heritage or Stacksbauer's. They have the reach and reputation to get you top dollar. Let's lighten it up with some trivia you can drop at your next family gathering. In 1952, a loaf of bread cost about 16 cents. Today, this one penny could buy you an entire bakery. If you stacked $1.3 million in pennies, the pile would weigh over 360,000 pounds. That's more than a blue whale. A pristine 1952 sweet penny is rarer than a perfect Babe Ruth rookie card. So next time someone says, it's just a penny, you can smirk and tell them it might be a ticket to early retirement. We've covered the history, how to identify a real gem, how to get it graded, and how to cash it in for the kind of money that could change your life. If you're sitting there thinking, I might have one of those pennies, do yourself a favor, go check that coin jar, the back of your dresser, your grandpa's old toolbox, anywhere a stray penny might have landed, because you never know, the next 1952 sweet penny that sells for $1.3 million might be the one sitting in your house right now. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more no-nonsense guides to coins worth big money, plus tips, stories, and the occasional cautionary tale, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you learned something new today, share this video with a friend who loves hunting for treasure, and leave a comment telling us about the coolest coin you've ever found.